ladies and gentlemen of the media, on behalf of the Secretary General and the party leader, the National President, the Deputy Party Leader, and on behalf of Honorable Kante, and on behalf of the entire executive and membership of the United Democratic Party, I welcome you to this very impromptu press briefing. And first of all, I would like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the media, for always responding to our calls, no matter how short the notice is. We really appreciate that, and not for one moment do we take that for granted. Our nation is going through very trying times in these past few days. 2 families have lost their children, their sons, their brothers, and their husbands, and the whole nation is in mourning. In their memory, may I just ask everybody here to observe 1 minute of silence in prayer for the departed officers, please. Thank you very much for that 1 minute of silence. Our nation is going through very trying times, and since the days of Kairaba, we have had occasion to be recognized globally as a peaceful, democratic, small country. Globally, we are known as the smiling coast of Africa. We have enjoyed this peace in spite of the 22 years of brutal dictatorship. This peace is part of our national identity. This peace is part of our national character. However, in recent years, violent crimes have been rearing its ugly head all over the Gambia. But the unprecedented, tragic shooting of police officers, I think this is probably the first time it has happened in our history. So again, we send our condolences to the bereaved families. We send our condolences to the IGP and all our men and women in uniform. We hope and we pray that the peace that our nation is known for continues to abide here. Of course, you, the media, know very well that over the years, UDP has been visited with orchestrated, organized state violence or even state terrorism. As recent as 2016, April, our hero, Ibrahim Solo Sandeng, was brutally assassinated by the state of the Gambia. Because of that, Alhaji Ousainou Dabo and his executive comrades came out, and their peaceful demand was met with unmitigated violence. I felt, Your Excellency, Party Leader, that it's necessary to introduce you with these few words. It's a very sad time in the Gambia, and let us pray that through dialogue and through mutual respect, especially for the rule of law, that this country would regain its coveted position of being an oasis of peace. On that note, Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kerr, for your preliminary statements. And it can't be disputed that the nation is in grief. The nation is mourning. I am not sure whether there has been any official announcement or pronouncement as to declare a period of mourning for these two fallen officers. But if there is none, I think each and every one of us, in our own individual way, can continue to mourn for them until the 7th day of their demise comes by. But this press conference is not about the incident of 12th September. This press conference is not about that incident. This press conference is about our own brothers, our own party colleagues who are in the custody of the security forces, or let me say the police. It is about that. Because the incident of 12th September is being investigated, and I think it will be callous and indeed irresponsible for me to try to make any statement about that. And the only statement that we made, which came out yesterday, was to debunk the falsehoods by some people in government circles. But other than that, we are not saying anything about the incident of the 12th September. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it is not in dispute that the government in any country has the responsibility of enforcing its laws. It cannot be disputed that whenever a person is suspected to have committed a crime, the police have every authority, every right to actually ask such a person to either report or they themselves would come and escort you to their venue wherever they want to carry out any interrogation, conversation, or question about you. That is the prerogative of the state, and nobody can dispute that. What is, however, disputable and unacceptable is to use that system as a means of oppression, as a means of suppression. And that is why we have called this press conference. Gentlemen of the press, some of you may be aware that some months ago, a lady called Mariama Trawale was taken to Banjul police station and was for several days going in and out of the serious crime unit, being interrogated, or in fact, not even being interrogated. Once she was asked questions, and that was all, and she was asked to be going in and out of the police station. What she was allowed to have uttered was in the public domain, was in the hands of the police. They knew what she had said. and they knew that she was reacting to what had been said by somebody else. But the police never effected an arrest. The police did not invite her rather, until a gentleman they call Bakar Jaite, and some call him Bakso, went on the air and said, Adama Barrow, itala mansi anafa malong. Molbe nendirola, iman sonatala ke arrest. Adama Barrow ni manyang, ni muso ni talon president B, ni muso ni ba arrest lade. And the following day, the man was arrested. So the police did not act on their own volition. They did not act on their own discretion. They were forced and pushed into it by this gentleman who calls himself an APRC official. 2 days ago, in fact, on the 13th to be precise, Usman Rambo Jatta was also heard on audio, castigating Momodou Sabally, Sheriffo Sonko, and Imam Sonko, and in fact, inferentially tried to link UDP with the event of the 12th. But for me, as I said, we are not dealing with that here, and I will not talk about that. But what is significant about that is, he said, IGP Abdullah Sanyang, for long you've been branded UDP. For long, UDP people do things like that, no arrest. This is the time for you. In fact, Momodou Sabally, Sheriffo Sonko, and Imam Sonko, they should be arrested. In fact, you should arrest them. So he blackmailed the Inspector General of Police. After all, arrest them for what? He said he was disappointed for what Mr. Sabally had written or stated. He said that on Wednesday, and yesterday, Momodou Sabally was arrested. Whatever he alluded to was already in the public domain. The police knew about it. The police read it. It was in his Facebook page. So what I'm just trying to say is that, it is people, political opponents of UDP, that are using the police for their own political agenda, for their own political purpose, and then getting them arrested, our supporters. The statement that Mr. Sabally was alleged to have made was made on about the 7th of September. It was in Facebook, all over the world, all over. If the police cared, if the police felt that Mr. Sabally had committed an offense, he would have been arrested on the 7th, if not the 7th, at least on the 8th. Wouldn't have been on the prompting of Usman Rambo Jatta. But if they do act on the prompting of the political, let me if I might say so, the allies of their political masters, if they acted on their promptings and arrest is effected, what you're complaining about is sin. Is there any need to keep the person over again? Because you keep arrestees in detention to enable you carry out investigations. Now, what Momodou Sabally is alleged to have said is written. There is no further investigation. If that is the crime, you already have the evidence there. What do you have to hold him for? If you have a case, you take him to court. If what he said violates or infringes any of the provisions of the criminal code, you do not need any further investigations. Because all that was saying that the PIU brutalizes the opposition, oppresses them. In fact, yesterday it happened at Kairaba, when some of our supporters went there to see Mr. Sabally. I mean, a group of paramilitary officers or the the police intervention unit personnel came, and instead of the civil police that they should be, they were approaching and talking to people in a way that we expect from Gambians, and started harassing them, beating them. And in fact, there was a lady, Ajabinta Jabi, she was malhandled. People were being beaten in their cars. People running to enter their cars so that they could drive out. But that was absolute evidence of how the PIU was brutalizing opposition people here. But if you say that, as I have done so, I have now said that they do so, what is the crime? What provisions of the law have been have you want infringed? But what you have seen is very reminiscent of the Jammeh era. The security, in fact, in the Jammeh era, UDP's whole problem, our entire engagement, we are never with the APRs as a party or the APRs militant. It was between UDP and the security. And now, the same thing is happening between UDP and the security. And I had earlier on, some time ago, said, look, we expect the security forces of this country to really treat us as Gambians, that we believe that they are the people that we should be working with, and they are the people that we will be working with when we come into government. So our relationship should be harmonious. We shouldn't, in our own quest to really get the political power, the security should not really be an obstacle to us. They should be friendly to us, just as they are friendly to any other thing. But that does not mean that if any UDP supporter or any UDP member commits a crime, he should not really be arrested. What we say is that you are arrested and be treated according to the procedures laid down by the law. What further evidence do the security want in respect of those Facebook postings by Mr. Sabally? What offense has he committed? But as I said, these are things reminiscent of the Jammeh era. Since the 70s was in the circulating in the social media, or all those who are friends of Momodou Sabally have seen them. Why do you wait until Friday evening and then ask Mr. Sabally to go to the police? These were the sort of things that were happening in Jammeh's time. And of course, Bayor, Sonko, who was also arrested, taken to Kairaba, separated from Sabally. These were the things that were happening in Jammeh's era. So all those things that were happening in Jammeh's era, we are having them now. And that is because those people who were at the helm, or at least in senior positions in the security in Jammeh's era, are the people who are still at the heads of this security institution. They know nothing other than what used to happen in Jammeh's era. They know of no other procedure. Those ones who are law-abiding, they are stigmatized as opposition because they want to see that things are done according to law. They taint them and say you are opposition. And of course, in the Gambia today, when anybody is branded as opposition, it means it's UDP, no other party. If they want to refer to another party, they will say the name straight away. But it's only UDP that is taking us the opposition in this country, and we are glad and happy about that. Now, what we are saying is that the arrest of Momodou Sabally was not really done in order to enforce any provision of the criminal law. It was not an arrest done in good faith. It was an arrest actuated by malice. It was an arrest solely intended to provoke Mr. Sabally. And if you remember, some time ago, when Mr. Sabally was arrested, it coincided with another incident of great national concern to everyone. That was when it was announced that there are people who wanted to stage a coup. That arrest was at the same time. Now again, you have this tragic incident taking place in the Gambia, arresting him. That is intended to provoke some elements of the society, but we will never be provoked. We will never be provoked. We'll show you that what you are planning or what you really you look into doing, UDP will not fall in for it. But we will say this, that when Mr. Sabally said that the PIU under Pate Jallo is used to brutalize, we have seen the evidence of it. At least we have seen the evidence of the PIU brutalizing people. We have Fatou, who was arrested by my residents and brutalized by the PIU. So the PIU has in fact established bad name for itself. Has established bad name for itself in the country. And I think it is time that the PIU cleanses itself. The PIU takes itself to the laundry and makes itself clean by building a reputation that is, that the Gambian people, will feel that we are satisfied that these are people who deserve to be in our uniform. These are people who do not brutalize our citizens. They have a burden to do that. And certainly, I challenge the leadership of not only the PIU, but even the Gambia Police Force, because the PIU is part of the Gambia Police Force, that you should be engaging in reputational building rather than really doing things that will undermine your reputation, that will do things that will continue to taint you. There's nothing that anybody can conclude other than this being a politically motivated arrest. An arrest intended to silence Momodou Sabally. But of course, Momodou Sabally is like several leaders in the UDP. You can incarcerate us, but you cannot stop us talking. Because the ideas that we stand for, even if you incarcerate us, those ideas continue to float in the streets. And the people will talk. We know that these 72 hours that the law, the Constitution talks of, is abused. And we also know, or let me say, I know, as a matter of fact, that if you rely on a legal position to do certain acts, which is wrongful in the eyes of people, you must be able to show that act was done in utter good faith. It was not done as an abuse of power. And this is certainly one of abuse of power. Gentlemen of the press, we thought we should call you and put forward our case and to say that we condemn the use of Yahya Jammeh's playbook in the run of this country. And that is being done every day. When there is no regard for the rule of law. Because regard for the rule of law means really enforcing the law in good faith, not when you use it in order to score points that are either immoral or points that are really intended to stifle and weaken your opponents. So our lawyers have gone to see Mr. Sabally. He's in the best of spirits because I don't think it could make any efforts to break him down can ever succeed. He's in the best of spirits, and his family are also in the best of spirit because they realize and know that the cause that Mr. Sabally is pursuing in this country is a just cause, and being a just cause, they are in high spirit and they are proud that Mr. Sabally, his sufferings is all for the good of this country. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Secretary General and Party Leader. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it's time for the usual Q&A after the Secretary General's statement. Please identify yourself and please ask your question in any of our languages, that is English, Mandinka, Wolof, Fula, and Jola. Of course, we may have to find translators to help us with some of those languages. Yes, sir.
I would like to ask in the Mandinka. I am Fadera Adama from Home Digital FM and member Kerr TV. Ndalata jininka Romain Kalam, lafta party leader jininka. I stayed on do ko jang wala nyindi ko wate ka ko UDP ning security. Nga jono wate soro jam pana security do pana soro paralu many from video ye kuma for UDP ma. Lafta kalon because ko UDP ning security fo aliyo ko ning ale step ta ko nyin toloba and the video fiti da police ya ko ba investigate kan for any report dia labang o paral la side ning report mandi munama la stand as at now. Second question we kala men la person fula dama be ko mo do siare wala nyindi alla mol be moto do science mone be moto dal mul finally o moto nyi ko do ning wato melam ko nyanta wala kala ni wasida tambida wala ni pare da ko be kidi la wala pati wala stand no mune.
Para media no ngege
I think we'll just move all the mics there. Huh? Huh? Let's move all the mics there.
So I apologize, I thought with this it was loud enough, I'm sorry. Oh, but you want to have it here, yeah? Very well. Well, Demen Yininka, Tonya Mbelenga J, video to, o police ol mele alon ka foko paralo, mele alon ka foko, ye manyal ke ye kumalfo, mo manjiki na security officers lolo. Is manya menke, and it's kokumo memfo. Actually, in complaint alale, but many action tala jeto. What am Inspector General of Police di? Ababulu, adiata nyame ayake wanya. But men kwata waron kavoko, wolu ye manya menke, mo majiki, kavoko mosra na uniform okono. Yo manya ke, the following day, yo wuli kotenge, yo uniform odu. Mo me menjik la waron kavoko, Inspector General of Police ni, abi appropriate action talat. In fact, haklo bakang ngamira itata National Assembly, National Assembly, Inspector General ni ngamira aning honorable ya menten sanyang nyo sabo dun tema de wokwola bar waya itan la kavoko ela komenti look na hajuti yeto opposition no damo ni men fofa na wadam adi wadam nyende han ka ko bi han nim police o mo fa para mo fa UDP ngol ko no zero ko ku lete kala jeto ndala miro to wadam ba manku kanyen do to men ka ko ak kontantale kanyenke adi banna bela ko kana kake ni mo yofo ita alfa nya bola ila koro di man anu kam fote ka condemn e mo mari kulu well sensi nya ka ko hanya UDP ko fa o ku ko men ketanu wolum na ko da bundala ko kula de kala police wala men yake na ila nya nyen kar flanja mo
yes Allah mo
well okay na mo mel ka fa ya muta well iko membembulu wolong itel ko 72 hours 72 hours membulu no 72 hours expert nyanda tara dame mbita jeto iko ni charge be kala mun bade makala ni charge of course mbita ke defend be lawyer tara ke defend because already ko ngafo nyame two lawyers started jeto bi mo kata mo Sabally akata jele bi and Mr. Sonko fanang lawyers no tata fana yale so we are preparing for it yeah. Yeah.
Mr. John? Mr. John, can you please stand?
Senegal?
Well, yesterday you put out a statement, very strong statement, making it very clear that the government is recognizing the Sukuta Jabal shootings against the United Democratic Party. What do you think really have dragged the Gambian government to opt to recognizing this incident against the leading political party in Ghana?
As I have said, we do not want this press conference to be dealing with that case, which is under investigations. We have made our stand very clear that the falsehood that was peddled by Ibrahim Sankare was really trying to tarnish the image of the UDP and to say that this gentleman was an employee of Brikama Area Council and the people who control the staff of Brikama Area Council have categorically stated that this gentleman does not work for them. In fact, yesterday, I think what I heard, maybe somebody at the briefing was that this man was a part of the rebel group, in Casamas. So, but I do not want to delve into that. I want to really keep away discussing that issue. We have come out to our press to say that it was an irresponsible statement, and we in fact expect the Inspector General of Police or his deputy or his delegate or members of the investigating team to be making any updates, not government spokesman. It's not within his province. It was just, a blatant self-arrogation of authority, and nobody dared to really check him out. But I think sensible people, have checked him out, that he couldn't do that, and he shouldn't really do that. And that is why yesterday, the responsible people who are in charge of this matter went out and made statement on them, and that is the right thing. We hope that this gentleman will know the limits of his remit and not get himself involved in matters that do not concern his office at all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dabo.
Please, your name.
I'm not officer. I'm not officer.
Mr. Dabo, I'm a Ghana of the Standard newspaper. Okay, what
action are you going to take for those who are associating this incident with your party? What legal action are you going to take against them? Well, I cannot tell you what legal action we're going to take. I think that will depend on the advice given to us by our legal advisors. I can tell you something for nothing. I have already started consulting lawyers about the outrageous statement made by Rambo Jatta that I am an accomplice in this matter. I have started consultation with lawyers on that, and they'll give me the advice what to do next. I can tell you that.
Bakari Kamara, cameraman Asia, His Excellency, Patio de Nyaton Kaya, Mianoko, D. Kule Kerr Banko kan yela patio diom tumi ko pol kono e dole mo bari men fanum be Kerr mo le memira ila patio diom jama kam en fundini audio to wala nyindi ko parendrol ni sim fañal le betakan kaje ko kela patio dandi wolon ka ban ko to ko la nyum banko kan foti amira ko itela patio ku kele men sa tin nyum patio ban no nyum banko.
Well, follow lafta nyum follow ka foko imanna momuta imanna pati dimuta ka foko nyum kol melkata iba kono le wo man soto. So really that's nimem fana yofo is misinformation, so that should be made clear. And for nil mol la fay laftale pour kan na patio ka ban fo ka ban ba wo fana mam fem lo woto nimme ya evidence to ya natin nimme ya evidence to ya natin nga evidence to ya natin den insin fangad bawo man ko kan fonko fankatan kurto o kam akamone sale so ni me ya fankan then we can guard ourselves, but now, as far as I'm concerned mang anything je ngalo na kafoko member caring some overzealous politicians nyolo. Of course one man love UDP la ya lo ngapati odo ngom koy be fanyan la ko kandio foi bang yalo bari nsabo nte fem fola kafoko ning ye ko be mbanla be nyine kala mo ma ko be mbanla so muna na mbafula ko ni mban ko be nyine kala muna na mbofula. It doesn't arise at all. Yes. There's somebody behind you.
Lady behind you. Madam, your name and where you come from.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mariama Esise. I am from Jamano Media and Brothers. My question is, BIU brutalization is becoming very common whenever UDP party have a dispute with the current government. And there is a rumor circulating which someone trying to associate UDP to the sector material incident. What action will UDP take against this kind of things? Whenever something happens in the country, they try to associate it with UDP. What kind of action will UDP take? Thank you.
Well, let me say that as far as I know, no investigator has called on any member of the UDP for me to be able to say that somebody is associating UDP with it. If irresponsible people, and I say irresponsible people, go on their loose stocks, I mean, a person as responsible as myself and a party as responsible as UDP would not respond to those loose stocks. Please, you will not respond to those loose stocks at all.
The ladies are speaking now. Welcome.
It's kind of the same question with this one. Sorry, my name is Hussein Odawa.
Thank you. I'm happy for that. I'm happy for that.
You change your name?
My name is Hussein from the digest. It's like this one said, like you said in your speech, Momodou have been associated with such a thing. First of all, and now this incident. What are you doing as a party leader to protest this?
what I have said quite clearly is that Sabally is not associated with this incident. Nobody has linked him with this incident. What I'm just saying, my grouse is that was it in December, when there was this foil coup, people are talking about that, and then arrested Sabally. You have this incident and then arrested Sabally. And that is fanning speculations. That was Sabally part of it? Did he know anything about it? And of course, the first time, everybody was really shocked when the statement they said prompted them to arrest Sabally and Banco Talale. Yeah? I mean, found that it's not anything that runs contrary to the law. And in fact, Namanga Banco Tale. In Bay, Banco Tale. A man of Jumari Babalanol. We have 15,000 votes more than NPP. So Banco Tale. And that is what Mr. Sabally was referring to. And this one also is close to this incident. Yeah? And then people have, peddling information or speculating that Sabally might have been arrested in connection with this. But as far as I know, he has been arrested or was invited for questioning for saying that the PIU brutalizes and oppresses UDP. That is what he has been called in for questioning. And if that is against the law, you don't need any further investigation. You have the evidence there, written. It's not that hearsay. You have it there written. Take him to court if you are really enforcing the law in good faith. If you are not using the law to suppress your opponents. If you are not doing what Karl Marx said, that the law is in the hands of the authority to suppress the lumpen proletariats. And that is what is happening.
Please, your name and where you're coming
from. Good evening, Damo, Party Leader, United Democratic Party. My name is Sabally from the Partner Group. Over 2 decades, your party suffered in terms of security brutality and also having into freedom of expressions where some expressions might go against the will of the government. How do you intend to address some of these issues, especially that has to do with freedom of expressions, where we've seen at least 2 of your party members invited for questioning, and this has happened over the years too?
Well, I'm happy you acknowledge that over the past 2 decades, UDP has been the subject of maybe police brutality, that we have been the subject of harassment and so forth. And we have always resorted to law because UDP is a party that believes in law. It's UDP that believes in constitutionalism. It's a party that really believes that anything that runs contrary to the laws of the country is inimical to the stability of this country. So we are always going to pursue the legal path. And we'll pursue the legal path until government tells us that no, you cannot really pursue and get legal remedy. Then we'll sit back and think. But then what we'll do every day is to remind the Inspector General of Police and all officers serving under him, the Chief of Defense Staff, in fact, all government institutions, ministers, the President, everybody, that the never again mantra is not for nothing. It's a reminder of those dark days. And when we believe that we have gone out of those dark days, we are getting into darker days. And that never again should be a reminder to everybody. And that those people who are behaving this way may one day face a commission, and they will stand and they will sit in the front of television cameras embarrassed when they are asked, have you forgotten TRRC's mantra, never again? Why did you do the same thing that was being done in Jammeh's era? I hope they'll have an answer for it. But we believe in rule of law, and everything that we'll do will be according to law. And let me tell you, nobody is going to provoke us to do anything that is untoward, except if what happened when Solo Sanden was killed, we will not consider any law. We will go out and seek remedy, because if any government that does that, because we believe that government have a right to arrest anybody, but you do not have a right to torture anybody to death. If Bayor government does that, in fact, we'll do worse than what we did in Jammeh's time. Oh yes, that we cannot compromise. We believe in the rule of law, but if you, the government, go out and kill our people, no, we'll certainly react, and of course, we'll do that. Yeah.
Gambia Talents TV.
Sabally, I would like to ask my question in Wolof. Honorable, di la ndokkale rek saa su ne ñu gis ne jamono ji nag Facebook bi mu ngi jax indil UDP bàyyi UDP sa supporters yu bari seen xol a ngi tooy mu ngi fees parce que ñu ngi bugg a associé yéen ak li nga xam ne moo nekk yëfi police bi yow looy wax sa supporters yi moo especially ñi nga xam ne nekkul si Gambia ñu ngi bitim réew nit mun na moo toog nag am lu ko métti toog si internet di wax naka nga gisee jamono Adama Barrow mi nga xam ne moom moo nekk président si wàllum sécurité ndax Gambia fu mu nekk nii sécure na ndax sécure parce que ndaw yu bari ñu ngi na si internet bi di wax ne lu mel ni su xewee si police kon dina mën a xew si ku nekk beneen question bi nag moo nekk ne noo gisee yëfi police bi dëgg la ñaari police génn nañ àdduna mu nekk lu métti waaye tamit ñu ne su nekkoon ne tey keneen la laaloon tey doo gis ni nga xam ne noonu leen si farloo ñu farloo si naka nga gisee lii within 2 days ñu mun a jàpp ki nga xam ne moom leen suspect.
Well, moo njëkkee sa question bu mujjee bi good question waaye su fekkee ñaari civilians rey nañ leen in the manner in which these two people were killed yaakaar naa ne police yi dinañ ci taxaw dinañ ci farlu def li leen war yaakaar naa ko góoma ne action bi ñu jël dañ ko jël because ñi dee police lañu yaakaar naa ne swift action bi ñu jël dañ ko jël pour ne am na ku yaaxal waa réew mi te ñun suñ liggéey la pour gis ne ku def jëf ju ñaaw ji ñu trace ko ñu jàppa ko ñu teg ko ci kanami loi so góoma ne daal affaire yi being a police officer or not being a police officer has anything to do loolu la foog has anything to do with this te su fekkee na police yi loolu leen motivate den naa ne loolu du nekk yoon waaye banguma loolu now about ma supporters yi ci in the diaspora lu ma leen di wax mooy ne 22 years under Jammeh moo gënoon a difficult so stand bi ñu jëloon li ñu doon def ñu continuer ci loolu nguur gi I know is fighting hard to survive because the institution that brought this government into power is the NPP. NPP, loolu yi nga leket su tojee yi nga leket su tojee dafa UDP NPP kay yi nga leket su tojee NPP noonu la mel dafa tojaat so it's a passing time so that the next 2 years more important for the Gambians that we must make sure that in these next 2 years we make sure that there's absolute stability in this country so that in 2026 we will have in this country government boo xam ne du nuro government Adama Barrow sakatuma ngay ko compare ak government yi Yaya Jammeh. That is loolu mooy ne métti na waaye lu métti nag dañ ko fexe ñu muñ ko bu ñu def leneen loo xam ne dina ñaaw so loolu laa leen a wax ñun ñëpp ñu determine ne 2026 we'll get this government out, we can get it out and we'll get it out. No.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we will be having the last question. We have been here for precisely 1 hour now. And the last question goes to the young lady.
I would like to ask you one thing. President Oladiam goes to the Farafene. I have Foko, I quite a matter but bring up here you will keep and get your gas home, Malekam, more they can put down UDP as well as Talakati, Pussy Valley and Kabuta, UDP dinner can Abesia can back it. What UDP party party government, NPPA. Who Sabanyo came Madaro, a poor canal by UDP dingle Lakan, if you Mutala Beli Pala whatever Pukela. Well, UDP Munetala, Axon Letala, Kajapo, who are down, UDP dingle.
Yeah, Elanian Kano, major decision long, or major decision not, declined alone la Janto, now company Kala. The entire executive, and some people may command an executive. But in Jikitela, the Sika from Pama, Nanyos Hakilola. But any member, a president I am for, President Enukumo member, a Hakilola Yara, Ayole Tan. No, it's not, it can't, it's a coco president, a Hakilola Yara, Ayole for President Mumio, Kalo, a Kafako, Ebediamla Kondongo. No, Yamen for really, but I have Lola Yaralo. When I attack in the Gambian called Yantale, Kanyimbo the President Yala. The most of the jeto, Menhaklo Cedar. Mayalon Kavoko, Kuolu, a sea for Alfanya Diamula Yame. As a quality with maturity. Yeah, wo Gambian Kolu, Nyantale si Sayasi, Como si Fanini. Wamayalon Kakumonate Dakono Yamero Yafo. Abisitiar ka mantinyar ke ila haju teoto o manya na kala president jango manya na kala president Gambia janto na ta yim mem fonya ayole fo wadan deko haklo la yara ayole ta na manya na kala banko president kada ma hakilito
Jerejef Al-Nimbara Ala Baraka, members of the media fraternity. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you on behalf of the Secretary General for coming so promptly and for conducting this briefing in a business-like manner. Thank you very much. As we have more information, as we have more positions to share with the media, we will certainly call upon you again. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Thank you very much.